Now, what about when you need different things at the same time? How do you decide whose needs take priority in a relationship? Now, I'm willing to bet this question has crossed your mind at some point, and it is one of the most difficult questions to answer. Nonetheless, over the next 4 days, I'm going to take a crack at it with this 4-part video series. And here are some of the main topics that we are going to cover. How opposing needs are often the same need expressed differently, the importance of need prioritization, the importance of timing, and also a personal example of conflict resolution. Now, this video series is in celebration of my upcoming free private training called Healing Hungry Love. This private training will open the enrollment period for my Hungry Love Masterclass, which is a live group coaching program. Now, I'm going to tell you more about that at the end, but first, here's what we're going to discuss in today's video segment. How opposing needs are often the same need expressed differently, particularly needs for connection. We're also going to talk about the disastrous result of either taking too much or giving too much without reciprocation. We're also going to talk about the biggest communication pitfall that most people make without even realizing it. And we are going to go over the number 1 communication tip that is going to help you turn that around right away. And so by the end of this video segment, you will be astonished by the opposing ways in which we experience and attempt to preserve loving connections. You will let go of the agony of rejection and feel relieved to realize that your partner's needs about staying connected to you are not about wanting to control or escape you. And you will walk away with one highly effective and persuasive communication tip to make sure that you get what you need while your partner also gets what they need. So make sure that you stick with me until the end because you're not going to want to miss this one. And I also recommend getting something to write with, pen and paper, because you may want to take notes. Now, if you don't know me or you're new to my online community, my name is Briana MacWilliam, and I am a licensed and board-certified creative arts psychotherapist with more than 15 years in the field helping adults struggling with insecure attachment go from self-doubting to self-sovereign so they can call in the soul-shaking, passionate partnerships that they want. So let's dive in. Now, have you ever wondered, what if you need different things in a relationship? How do you decide whose needs take priority? Now, if you've ever felt like you and your partner had opposing needs, it can often feel like we're speaking 2 entirely different languages, and it's really hard to understand what the other person is trying to say. But we're going to explore how these opposing needs are actually the same need expressed in different ways. So, for example, I want connection, but they just want space. Well, why do they want space? Usually it's so that they can feel strong enough and safe enough to maintain a connection with you without feeling emotionally overwhelmed or smothered or wanting to bolt. Now, why do you need connection? So you can feel reassured and secure enough to give them the space that they need when they need it. Now, it's my belief that a relationship evolves in a healthy way when both partners are motivated to prioritize the other person's needs as much as their own, not more and not less. Because if this scale tips too far in one direction or the other, it winds up defeating the whole purpose of having a relationship altogether. So I want to give you a case example here. Susie works in human resources, and Matt is an administrator for the public school system. Susie thinks of herself as kind of a go-with-the-flow kind of person who can let things go if Matt's needs are different than her own. But Susie's presentation as an easygoing person is really covering up a tendency to kind of stuff down her feelings for fear of causing problems or conflicts in the relationship. And even though this tends to lead to repressed resentment and depression, it's a price that Susie is willing to pay for feeling like she has pleased Matt and preserve their relationship. Now, Matt, on the other hand, feels frustrated with Susie's inability to express her needs or her feelings. He does not feel like a competent partner always trying to guess at what's going to make her happy. And so her frequent platitudes don't make him feel any better either. In fact, he experiences them as condescending and patronizing and an indication that Susie doesn't trust him with her true feelings. So her easygoing attitude is actually what is keeping Matt at a distance. Now, when Matt expresses frustration with her inaccessibility, Susie is deeply stung, and she interprets this as Matt is blaming her for doing things wrong. And so then she tries twice as hard to fix it through some kind of performative behavior or action that she hopes is going to appease him and please him while retreating even further emotionally. And so eventually, Matt just gives up because he's exhausted from trying to protect her feelings while attempting to coax her out of her shell. And he finds other activities and ways to get his needs met and unburden Susie. But the more he tries to unburden her, the more she feels unseen and rejected in the relationship, and as if he is abandoning her for being not good enough for him. And so it becomes this kind of vicious cycle. Each one is desperate to give the other what they want while holding back what they really need. So if you're taking too much from someone without reciprocation, you turn yourself into a closed system, and eventually you stagnate and you start to feel emotionally isolated, whether you realize it or not. And if you give too much to someone without reciprocation, guess what? The same thing happens. Without a receptive and generous attitude towards sharing new information about each other's experiences, it can be really hard to expand your heart and to open up your worldview and perceptions, which is really necessary to sustaining a healthy and loving relationship dynamic. Now, if you find yourself in a similar situation, here are a few things that you can do to make sure that you are both getting your needs met. So you want to talk to each other about what you need and why. You want to listen to each other with the intention of understanding, not just responding or replying. You want to be willing to compromise and meet in the middle somewhere. You want to check in with each other regularly to see how things are going. You want to use curious and non-accusatory language when expressing wants and needs, and we're going to come back to this in a minute. And you also want to be very specific about what is going to fulfill your emotional needs and make that actionable. Okay, so to really drive this last one home, I would like to offer you one highly effective communication tip that you can start implementing today. Okay. Now, the most highly effective communication tip that I'd like to offer is to make sure that when you are communicating your needs, you are using emotional words and not evaluations. And we often tend to conflate the two. We confuse what we think others are doing around us with words that describe actual feelings. So let me give you an example of this. Here are some statements that are usually mistaken as expressions of feelings, but really reveal more of how we think others are behaving in relationship to us, rather than how we are actually feeling ourselves inside of our own bodies. Okay. So for example, I feel unimportant to my partner. Now, in this case, the word unimportant describes how I think others are evaluating me rather than an actual feeling, which in this situation, it might be that I feel sad or I feel discouraged. For another example, I feel misunderstood. Now here, the word misunderstood indicates my assessment of the other person's level of understanding rather than an actual feeling going on inside of me. In this situation, maybe the feeling is anxious or annoyed. Okay. One more example. I feel ignored. Now again, this is more of an interpretation of how the other person is or is not responding to me. It's an evaluation of the actions of others rather than a clear statement of the energy going on inside my body. So there might have been times when we thought we were being ignored and our feeling was relief because we wanted to be left alone. And then there might have been other times when we felt hurt when we thought we were being ignored because we wanted to be involved. We wanted to feel a sense of belonging. We wanted to feel included. Now, what evaluative words do you often use, and what truer emotions might they be trying to describe? So I would invite you to comment below this video with a couple of those words, and let's see if we can't discern if they are an evaluation or a true emotion between today and tomorrow. Now, in tomorrow's video, I'm going to explain more about how the way that we clarify and prioritize our needs is crucial to negotiating those moments when our needs seem irreconcilable. Now, if you'd like to receive a reminder or notification for these videos, you can click the link in the caption of this video. And also, as a reminder, this is in promotion for my live group coaching program, Hungry Love. I'm going to tell you a lot more about that at the end of the series, so make sure that you sign up for reminders, and I will see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place.